Hi everyone! Out here in the blackberry patch today, one of my favorite spots in the garden. Over the past couple of years, we have gotten tons of fresh, juicy, delectable blackberries. But it didn't always used to be that way because I didn't prune my berries. Or if I did prune them, I just got in here and hacked away and made a mess out of it. Probably sounds familiar to you, but the secret of tons of berries is pruning. And today I'm going to show you how to prune your berries the right way so you get some killer harvests. Don't click away. There are two secrets to growing a lot of berries. Number one is pruning. If you don't prune, your blackberry plants just grow out of control, they grow wild, and all the energy goes into producing all the leaves and all the foliage rather than lots of berries. The second secret to growing tons of berries in your garden is to prune correctly. You can't just get in here and hack away, which I've done, and I'm sure a lot of you might have done too. That's where most of us make our mistakes. There's two types of branches called canes on blackberry bushes, the primocane and the floricane. They each need to be pruned differently so that you can grow a ton of berries, and I'm going to explain exactly how to do that. Before we jump into the pruning, a few basics about blackberries. They are a perennial in zones 4 and above, which means they come back year after year. Two different types of blackberry bushes, summer bearing and fall bearing. We're just going to be dealing with summer bearing today. Those bear fruit in the summer. That's what I'm growing here. Now, while the bushes themselves are a perennial, the individual canes or branches are actually a biennial, which means they grow, set fruit, and produce on a 2-year cycle. So two different types of canes. Now hang with me here, this can get a little bit confusing. The canes that grow the first year are called the primocane. And here's a good example of a primocane right here. It's a long cane that kind of stretches out. It's just a vegetative cane, which means that it just has leaves on it. It doesn't grow flowers and set fruit that first year. Now that second year, those primocanes become floricanes. Now what those canes are is they have a woodier stem, much thicker, and those are the canes that actually flower, set fruit, and then what happens is they die back, and each cane needs to be pruned differently to produce tons of harvest. With that out of the way, let's jump into the pruning. Now the first thing you want to do is prune your floricanes. That's called cleanup pruning. This is what's going to die off and become dead wood. We definitely need to get rid of that so all the energy doesn't go into keeping the dead wood on the plant, but instead goes into producing berries. So we're going to snip off the floricanes at the very base of the plant there. You really don't need any of these. Snipping off the dead wood, pulling them out and making room for the new canes to grow. A lot of floricanes on this plant here. So once you've gone through in the fall or the winter and pruned your floricanes, your berries are done producing, you're going to want to go through and prune your primocanes. Remember, those are the first year canes. I have a few right now, but usually you'll prune those in the spring once your plant starts to grow again after being dormant for the winter. And let me just show you the difference here. This is a floricane, the second year cane. It's kind of dead looking, lighter brown. This other branch here, this other cane is called the primocane. It's greener, it's a much longer shoot, and it only has leaves. There's no spent flowers, there's no berries growing on that. And you want to prune it down so there's only 4 or 5 primocanes per plant. And you want to cut them back to about 2 feet per primocane so that all of the energy goes into producing berries, not these big, huge, long stems. So we're going to follow the end of this primocane back to see where it starts. This is a long one. Wow. This actually goes way up the hill here. Follow it back to the mother plant. All right, so here's the base of this primocane right here, and we're going to trim it off to about 2 feet. Here we go. Let's pull this baby out. So now what I'm going to do is just get in here and get this whole patch all cleaned up, prune the floricanes, prune the primocanes, and we'll be looking good. Now if your primocane is shorter than 2 feet, you just want to do what's called tip pruning. You just want to cut off about 1 inch or so off the tip. That will encourage new growth as the weather warms up in the spring. Now, if you run across a plant that has several primocanes, prune it down to about 4 or 5 per plant. This one's kind of interesting here. It's got a super long primocane coming off the mother plant. It grew all the way over here, several feet long, and actually rooted all the way over on the other side of the pat. So what I'm going to do in that case is this is actually going to become 2 different bushes. That's the great thing about blackberries is they can root and you can get free bushes from that. So I'm going to cut it here in the middle and cut the one that rooted over here down to about 2 feet. That'll become a floricane and grow new berries next year. Whoops, I've got another one right here that rooted, another side branch that rooted. So I've got 3 plants off this one primocane. And then we'll cut this primocane down to 2 feet as well. I know it looks pretty drastic and you might be nervous to trim your blackberries this much, but I promise you, it's gonna be worth it. Don't be too concerned if you accidentally prune a primocane or a floricane when you're not supposed to. Don't worry about it. With a little bit of trial and error, you're going to be trimming your blackberries like a pro. In the springtime, these are going to start to grow again, and you're going to have the best harvest ever. And I promise you, it is going to be worth it. Well, we do have a fun little surprise today, a fresh out of the oven blackberry crisp made from blackberries from this patch that we froze last summer and just pulled out today. So we're super excited to have some of this and share this with you guys. Once you prune your blackberries, I'm telling you guys, you're gonna have abundant harvests and you will be making blackberry crisps all winter long.
This is nice and warm too.
It's amazing, fresh out of the oven.
Ooh,
so much fun
so
to
good.
grow your own blackberries. Comment below, you guys. Let me know if you're going to prune your blackberry bushes this winter time for a beautiful summer harvest. One more week of 20% off with the code thank you over at CaliKimGardenandHome.com. Includes all seed collections, signed copies of my book, and CaliKim Smart Pots. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.